We're back again this week, live. Welcome, friends. Good to be with you again. This is a fun experiment here. I enjoy live broadcasts, and I know that's something that is a lot more fun when we can gather together here at the same time together. And this just gives me a way to constantly just check in and be with you guys and share some of the things that I'm learning and that I'm excited about, and to bring a positive energy for your week. That's really what I want to do here. It's sometimes that we're in currently that can really get us down, and it can be really difficult to keep moving forward with a positive attitude with all of the things that we see around us in this world. So let's just open together with a little energization, a little relaxation exercise that I always like to do before we start. And then I'm just going to start with the affirmation that I've been using, the same one that we used last week. I think this is a very powerful one to begin our time together. And I actually learned this week too that tensing and bringing energy into your muscles actually is like medicine for your body. It actually is like, I believe the scientists are even calling it like a joy molecule that gets brought into the body every time we tense our muscles. So every time we exercise, that happens. So bring in the joy into your body as we do this together. It's going to be a short and long double inhalation. And then we're going to tense all the muscles in the body in a low, medium, high vibration. And then we're going to exhale, relax, release, and feel. And I'm just going to turn on the Instagram live here as well as we start. So let's begin. Let's just take in a normal deep inhalation, breathing in and all the way out. And now double inhale and tense. Inhale, low, medium, high, vibrating with willingness, and exhale. Relax, release, feel. Again, inhale and tense. Low, medium, high, vibrating with willingness, and exhale. Relax, release, feel. Last round, inhale and tense, low, medium, high, just a bit higher, bringing in all that energy into the body, and exhale, relax, release, feel, just letting go of all the cares and the worries. Let's go on a worry fast here together for this time that we're sharing. And our affirmation is, I step forward with perfect faith in the power of the omnipresent goodness to bring me what I need at the time I need it. Jai Masters, Jai Guru. And this week, I wanted to continue our exploration of creativity and inviting the inner muse to work with us and to allow superconscious creativity to flow through us. It's something that I've been studying and fascinated with, reading a lot of books on, doing a lot of practices with, really wanting to become a vessel, a channel for the inner genius that we all have. We all have an inner genius. We all have a higher self. We all have the wishes of our soul that wants to come through us. Before we dive into that, I thought I would talk a little bit about really moving through the fear and the anxieties that we're probably, a lot of us are feeling currently at the moment. And I thought I would share some of these. Let me pull up some of these notes that I've got here. And there's some really interesting takes on this that come through people like Friedrich Nietzsche and Marcus Aurelius. So I wanted to read some quotes here. They talk about this word amor fati, or this phrase, a love of fate. And I feel like this is very powerful during this time. Friedrich Nietzsche said, and he was describing his formula for greatness. This is from Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way. And Nietzsche said, one who wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backwards, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. So talking about this time that we're in, to not want it to be any different, not to want to go backwards, to make it great again, not to want to be in the future, but to really not just bear it or conceal it, but to love this place that we're in, to love the time that we came in, to love the bodies that we're in, to love the talents and all of the things that have happened to us in our lifetimes, because they make us who we are. We came here during this time, in these bodies, in this place, to do certain work. We have a soul's purpose. And to really love that, this is the way to overcome suffering. Marcus Aurelius said similarly, what you throw on top of a fire, the fire turns to heat, brightness, and flame. We should decide to have an attitude now that we will come back better for whatever we go through. And what a wonderful attitude to have, that we will come back better for whatever we go through. And we know this is true, but in the moment we can become afraid. In the moment we don't want the things that are happening to us to be happening. But if we will come back stronger through everything that comes to us, then really, was it a curse? Maybe it's more of a blessing. Ryan Holiday says, the question for you, for whatever you're dealing with, are you going to be better? Are you going to be better for this injury, for this grief, for this loss, for this mistake, this failure? If you decide that no event is so bad that you can't decide to learn something from it, you can decide to use it as an opportunity to grow. The stuff you're worried about, it will happen or it won't. Worrying doesn't affect it. This isn't something I have to do. This is something I get to do. This isn't something that happened to me. This is something that happened for me. And what a powerful way to look at life and to see things, that this is what I get to do. We are the heroes in our story. And if we are the heroes in our story, the hero always wins. If we take this attitude, if we see life as a grand adventure, and we see everything that is happening in this movie of life. Yogananda said this life is a movie and a show. He said that we shouldn't get caught up in it, that we're just playing our roles. And if we can live our life in this way, then we can really become like the heroes in a great adventure. And we can see everything that comes to us as something that we can step up to, and we can say, I get to do this. This is going to tie into the creative super consciousness that I'm talking about during this podcast, and really setting it up is the more that we see life in that way. And I keep repeating this quote from the painter Robert Henry. It's in the beginning of Rick Rubin's book. It says, the object is not to make art. It's to be in that wonderful state that makes art inevitable. And this is what we're talking about, is becoming people who can live life in a wonderful state that makes art inevitable. And it doesn't matter what time period that you're in. It doesn't matter all of the things that are going on in the world around us. We can learn to live in this wonderful state that makes art inevitable. And if we're living our lives there, I saw a short clip from the musician recently that was from Most Def, and he was talking about our hearts during this time, that if you're struggling, if your heart is broken during this time, then our hearts should be broken. There are so many people suffering. There's so much tragedy and disaster in the world that it really just means that we have a healthy heart, that we have compassion for others. And if we're disturbed by what's going on in the world around us, that is natural, because there's so much that is disturbing in the world around us. But he said that what I can't do is I can't give in to despair. I won't do that. And this is what I'm calling for all of us, to not give in to despair, to not give in to anger, not to give in to the distractions, and also to the division that comes through all of the things that we're seeing in the news around us, and we can become angry and divided. Those things are all the dragons. Those are the things that are going to keep us from making our art. Those are going to be the things that keep us from having this light within us that we can share with others as love. It's going to take away our compassion for others. So even while Most Def was saying that sometimes it feels like the most appropriate thing to do is to give in to the despair. But this is not appropriate. This is not what the hero does. And this is what we need to do in order to live a life that is full of greatness, and that we can live a life as an artist. We can see our lives as a great movie that we are acting in, and we can do our best to become great actors. Another quote here, this is from Nayaswami Asha. If you haven't seen her YouTube, I highly recommend checking that out. She said, "Stress is merely the resistance to what is happening." Another great one, Sister Ganamata, a direct disciple of Yogananda, said, "What happens to us doesn't matter. What we become through it does matter." Nayaswami Devi, she says, "This is the question we should all ask ourselves. What am I becoming through the tests, the challenges, the anxieties and fears, the negativity and divisiveness? So what am I becoming?" And we can become better through these things. What happens to us doesn't matter. What we become through it does matter. So really, this time can be a great catalyst for creativity, a great catalyst for you to become your true self in this lifetime, a great catalyst for your soul's awakening, to move through fears, to move through pains and wounds of the past. This is a very powerful time. And Swami Kriyananda, he said, this is one of the most powerful times in the history of mankind to be alive. And it can be very difficult to hear that. What does that mean? But really, if we are looking to awaken and to grow and to really be the heroes in the story, what a wonderful time in the history of mankind to be alive. We have come here, I'll say it again, we have come here during this time. And if you're listening to this, if these kind of things you can hear and you can receive, then you are someone who is a energetic protector, a warrior of light. You are someone that has come here during this time to transmute pain, to transmute all of the wounds, and to really fulfill their purpose. We've all come here with a purpose. We all have a soul's code. We all have soul's wishes. And when we are following our soul's code, when we are doing what we're meant to be doing, then nothing and no one can stop us. That's really the truth. Joseph Campbell says in his book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, that, paraphrasing, he's just saying that when we're on our path, when we're on our journey, when we're doing what we're meant to be doing, then what was impossible for others becomes possible for us. And we know, we've seen so many examples of people that have pushed through such great adversity and have done incredible things in their lifetimes, enduring some of the most tragic and difficult times in human history. So these things, they can't stop us. They shouldn't deter us. They should be like that quote about whatever we put onto the fire creates heat. It creates brightness and flame. So all of this, we can throw it into the fire. It's, as Ram Dass says, grist for the mill. All of these things are like fuel for us. I love the story of Hanuman in the Ramayana when he faces difficult challenges, the most insurmountable obstacles, but he just keeps chanting. He keeps saying Ram, 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 staying focused, not letting any doubt creep in. He knows that if he stays connected with his higher self, that nothing can stop him from his mission, because it is what he's meant to do. And this is my call to all of the creatives out there. And we're all creative. It doesn't matter if you're not a painter, if you don't draw or write music or sculpt or dance or write poetry or novels. Our lives are creative acts. And we are all creative, and we can all tune in to that higher self that has been trying to get our attention. I want to really open this up to all of us. As I shared last week, I'm working on a series of courses for this, where we can practice together to learn how to see the clues that our higher self is leaving for us, to get a sense of what it feels like in our body when we are getting guidance, to notice the strange feelings and the synchronicities that show up in our lives, and to honor those and make notes of those, and to make art that captures the feelings that we're having so that we can share those good feelings with others. So if we are in this world and we are not going to give in to despair, we don't need to feel guilty for being happy. We don't need to feel like we need to walk around with a frown on our face. We should be here to uplift each other, and we can uplift each other through our art. And the world needs us to do that. The divine works through people. If you know that it's not that just the divine just can do it can do anything, but it really gives us all free will in this world, and really only works through people. And so we can be those people that the divine is working through. It needs our help. And we have the decision to either we can reject the divine, or we can love the divine, and we can become willing channels for the divine to work through. William Blake, he said, "Eternity is in love with the productions of time." Let that one sink in. Eternity is in love with the productions of time. So eternity, and this is in Stephen Pressfield's book, The Artist's Journey, that eternity has a vested interest in this world of time. And eternity wants to give creative inspiration to artists, to writers, to inventors, to all of us here on this planet, in order to do good things in this world. So that consciousness of infinite goodness is always flowing to us, but it's our agitation that blocks it. It's our fears that block it. But when we choose willingly to become channels for creativity, then that begins to flow through us, and we begin to be filled with ideas, and the writing just flows through us, the paintings flow through us, and we're able to bring the feelings that we have into manifestation for others to experience. And this is how we change the world. We know that the world doesn't improve through all of these wars and guns and trade wars and all of the divisiveness and all of the violence that has happened throughout history. It makes a change for a little while, then it goes right back, and probably worse afterwards. The real true change, the real true way to make a good difference in this world is to uplift ourselves, and then in turn we uplift the world. When that happens, we become channels for greatness to come through us, and we are able to, that quote that I forget who said it, but people don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. And art allows us to bring great waves of feeling for others. And when we do that, we make this world a more beautiful place. We're uplifting others, and there's a ripple effect that goes out. I know all of us have been inspired by other artists, by other writers, by podcasts, by books that we read, and paintings that we've seen, performances that we've watched, movies and documentaries that we've seen, where someone has brought love and compassion into the work that they're doing, and it helps us to see the world in a new way. And this is what we can all do. So if all of us band together and we create this ripple effect, then we can truly become heroes. We can truly become warriors of light that fill the world with God's light. This is a time of incredible shift and change on the planet. You can see the old ways are crumbling, and we can see the politicians trying to hang on. The billionaire CEOs and the politicians are trying to hang on to the old ways of doing things, trying to go back in time, trying to do these things to stop the forward momentum, to stop us from coming together, from stepping into our true power. But they can't do it. It won't work. It's going to cause a lot of trouble for a little while, and we're going to need to stick together. We're going to When things get tough, it's beautiful to see how people come together and help one another out. The recent fires that we see, all the hurricanes that have come to my state here in Florida, you see so many examples of people, the goodness in people coming out during tragedies. And we all feel a sense of connection when we're all, us and our neighbors are all going through difficult things together. We've seen so many examples of people going through difficult times, and it's not stopped them. So don't use anything as an excuse to stop you from doing your creative work. It's so tempting to do that. And just as Stephen Pressfield talks about, this is the resistance that comes up. So we as artists, when we decide that we're going to become these creative channels, that we're going to start praying to the muse, we're going to start using affirmations, we're going to start connecting with the superconscious levels of creativity in order to bring heaven to earth. And we're going to gather with other like-minded people, and we're going to make communities, and we're going to change this world for the good. You better believe it that there's going to be an equal and opposite force, a reaction, a resistance to that is going to try to stop us. And we're going to feel that all is lost. We're going to have moments where all is lost. But we need to, I want to be here as a reminder to you that that is going to happen. You're going to feel that. And if you stay vigilant, if you don't give up, if you do things that bring goodness into your life, like breathwork exercises, meditation, even just that relaxation exercise where we brought that energy into our body and we relax and release the tension, if we surround ourselves with good people, then something will happen where we will be back on track. Somebody will come into our lives and say just the right thing to motivate us. Maybe you're hitting your all is lost moment and you're hearing this right now, and it's motivating you to get back in the game, to get back into your creative energy. And this is what happens. We need to stay vigilant, stay on the course of action towards our highest good, our highest potential. And there's no limit to what we can do in our life, because it's no longer us doing it. It's our soul moving through us to bring that light into the world. There is no limit. Don't think, what can I do as just one person? That's the resistance talking. That's the dragon talking. We have seen example after example of what one person can do in a lifetime to make this world a better place. And we are all capable of this. We all have an inner genius. It's about getting out of the way and allowing that to flow through us. It's about stepping up when it feels difficult. For me, my core wound that my friend Hassan has done a reading with me recently, that in the Gene Keys readings about our core wounds, and he read mine to me last night, that my core wound is the fear of rejection. And when he read that to me and the words that went along with that, it made so much sense, because that is really what I've struggled with my whole life. I have such a fear of rejection. For the longest time, I've had such a fear of being in front of a camera or putting myself out there. Like the worst fear in my mind, the thing that I'm most afraid of, is for people not to like me, people to reject me, for people to have issue with what I'm saying or doing. And so me being in front of this camera right now is just shocking to me every time that I do it, or guiding meditations for others. I feel that deep within me. But the big thing about a core wound within us is that we came here in order to transmute that core wound for the benefit of all beings. If we can do it for ourselves, that ripple effect out into the world is massive. I keep having this realization after my meditations in the past week, and for a while now, that I feel that I am in this game, this movie, and everyone else in the universe is already awakened. I'm the one that's asleep, and they're all doing it for me. They're all doing their perfect performances to help me to awaken, to learn lessons, to grow. That I'm in this video game that I decided to play with myself, and that in essence, everyone else in the universe is also me, helping me to learn and to grow, and that I came and started playing this video game of life on purpose. I came here to be entertained, as Yogananda said, to be entertained and to be educated. I came here to experience all of the aspects of life, and that everything and everyone else in this universe is really just a reflection of my true self, my higher self, and they're all here for my benefit. So you can see the world in this way. It really is helpful and beneficial to see the world as a movie, as a video game, as a dream, as a play. You know, as William Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage and we are but actors. This is really what the great saints and sages are telling us, and that we can feel when we go inward and really realize what this really is, that we came here for this and for this reason. And I wanted to talk about also here to move into talking about inspiration. I wanted to read some words from Swami Kriyananda in his book. It's called Art as a Hidden Message, and it's a fascinating, wonderful book that I get so much inspiration from. And he says, and I love this one, he says, here too is an important adjunct. Let your mind flow forward, completely confident that the inspiration you want stands before you, its arms outstretched, waiting. This is faith, faith that requires an unhesitating commitment to energy. It isn't enough to receive the initial inspiration for a creative work. One must continue to hold up his mind to that inspiration in order that every note, every brushstroke, every word remain faithful to it. And this is something that I try to bring into my work as much as possible. So first, we can call out, ask for, demand that we receive inspiration, that we first receive that wonderful feeling that we want to share with others, right? This is what we're looking to do. And we can treat our life, anytime, any moment in our life, as an opportunity to feel, as an opportunity to have a great connection with another human being, to experience nature in its full depth. I mean, nature outside is wonderful and makes it so much easier to be in a wonderful mood when we're in nature. We see a gorgeous rainbow or a sunset, or we're hiking in a forest with the birds singing. It can be such a wonderful feeling. And we can look to remember and bring those feelings up again, bring those feelings up within ourselves on a regular basis. And we can, as Swami Kriyananda, he talks about, I shared last week, this is a very crucial point, and I like to keep saying it over and over, that we first feel and have those experiences in life. And then we want to share that through our artwork. So say if you were writing a melody, and this is from Swami, if you were writing a melody and you say, he says, don't just say to the superconscious, I want to write a song about peace. He said to get really specific about it and also to feel it yourself. Hold that feeling up. He says that instead say, I want to write a melody that captures the feeling of the moon rising over a peaceful, still lake, the reflection of the moon in the water, and the peace that it brings after a day of turmoil. And he says when he does that, all of a sudden, music sometimes even immediately starts to come into his mind. It's important to be patient because it doesn't always come immediately, but sometimes it does. And it may come to you when you least expect it. But the idea is to prompt the universe. This is the true natural way to write a prompt, and prompt the universe, and then allow that creative inspiration to come through us. This is something that we as humans can do. And this is how this is really the secret to art. This is really when we break it down, and we can all learn how to do this. And here he says, it isn't enough to receive the initial inspiration for creative work. One must continue to hold up to his mind that inspiration in order that every note, every brushstroke, every word remain faithful to it. So as an example, as I'm painting, I do my best to keep kindling the feeling that I'm hoping to convey, that I am the reason why I'm making the work of art. I am keeping that feeling foremost in my heart and in my mind, so that every brushstroke, and this is obviously a practice, it's keeping, and meditation helps me. So in meditation, we're always returning, bringing our mind back over and over, keeping our mind on God. As Yogananda says, keep turning your mind on God over and over with every brushstroke. And so I feel that if I can do that in my paintings, then when people see them, they can also feel, they have an opportunity to feel what I'm feeling as I'm creating the work, as that work is flowing through me. And it's amazing how beautiful the line work can be when we get out of the way and we're no longer filled with self-doubt. We're no longer filled with mind chatter, troubles of the day, of conversations or arguments or fears or worries. And we're doing our work to bring that flow through. And art can be such a wonderful teacher for that. Sometimes also I'll be working on a piece where I just have a lot of turmoil going through my mind. Oftentimes, just continuing to work, continuing to create, to paint, to draw, allows me to transmute that negativity, to transmute those fears and worries. It feels a lot of times like when I'm having a difficult time, sometimes it really feels like a ceremony, like a medicine ceremony, where I'm getting to go through all of these things that come up. And sometimes as I'm painting these deities, sometimes the nature of that deity, say like Mahakala or Yamantaka, the Buddhist deities, or I painted recently a mandala that was all about transmuting into the fires all of our self-doubts and our worries and our negativity. As I was doing that, all of this stuff was coming up, and it was something that was making it very, very difficult to keep going. But I just kept my mind over and over chanting and returning anytime my mind drifted, to come back and to continue. And it makes sometimes the work can transmute those negative feelings. So I'm not saying that you always have to do that. That is kind of just the highest state. If we can be in a state of no mind, and we're allowing that pure creative flow to come through us into that work, and the work is just an offering of pure love. And that's what I aim to do. But the work can continue to help us to transmute all of the negative energy through us as we continue to show up, continue to step forward with perfect faith in the power of the omnipresent goodness to bring us what we need at the time we need it. Keep returning your mind back. I like to have images around me, so like I always have an image of my guru Paramahansa Yogananda, images of deities or things on my altar, or things that I surround myself, or images around the piece that I'm painting, to something that I can use as a prod to help me to remember. So whenever I see it, is to come back. Your mind is drifted, just like in meditation, your mind drifts. Simply bring it back to the practice, bring it back to the technique. And that's really the true practice of meditation. Of course, our minds are going to drift. Of course, negative thoughts are going to creep their way in. This is just how it works. The dragon will continue to do that until we have reached full awakening, full transmutation, full self-realization. These dragons are going to still continue to creep up and to try to stop us from doing our work. So to keep going with these teachings on the superconscious, this is something that I've been really loving and putting into practice for some time now. And it's been making more and more sense to me as I affirm and bring this into meditation. So I look forward to creating some guided journeys and some guided meditations for us to practice with around this, So this is what I'm working on now, and I can't wait to share those and to really connect with each other and see how this is working for us. And Swami Kriyananda, he says that inspiration is of two kinds: the rediscovery or rearrangement of thoughts that already exist in the subconscious mind, and then the sudden appearance of new thoughts or new insights from the superconscious. This higher inspiration certainly is more to be desired than the lower, for it is based in truth and not in imagination. It is not always easy to recognize the difference between lower and higher inspiration, particularly when the lower is vitalized by the emotions. When inspiration comes, receive it with calm love and see whether, untouched by emotion, its impulse grows stronger or weaker. Love is the water that nourishes true inspiration. So let's unpack this here together a little bit, because there are some things in here that may be quite new for a lot of us. Definitely were new for me when I heard about it. We hear about tapping into the realms of the unconscious to make artwork. And this is a very viable thing that we can do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but there are two kinds of inspiration. So when we tap into the subconscious, these are realms where it's a rediscovery or a rearrangement of thoughts that already exist in the subconscious. So all of the things that have happened to us in our lives are for us, as we want to say, in our lives. All the things we've seen, heard, been affected by, all get trapped into the subconscious mind that we can go and we can access. And this is what Salvador Dali was doing, was accessing the subconscious mind. But here, for our purposes, I want to encourage us to move into a higher calling, because we are in an age that needs us to step up to our highest potential. This is such a crucial moment that I want to really make this a call for us to make that choice to step into the superconscious, where the sudden appearance of new thoughts or new insights are available. This higher inspiration. This also can save us a lot of time, and it also can make it so that our creative careers are highly fulfilling. We see so many people who are successful in their work. They can be incredibly creative. They can do amazing things, have amazing accomplishments. But when you see the true state of their consciousness, that they aren't actually truly happy in life, that they may actually be tormented and really be in places where the work that they're doing is really having a negative effect on them. And this is a way that we can be able to seek inspiration from our higher self that loves us, that wants us to be happy, that wants us to be a light in the world, to bring light and compassion and love to the world and to others. It wants to set us free from anxieties, from fears. As artists, we can always be so much like, okay, we did something that was successful and that we really maybe got a lot of attention for, and that was really successful in the world. And then it's always this yearning to repeat that. And then maybe an agitation and anxiety of fear comes up that, oh, how do we top that? Or we've got to keep climbing the ladder. We've got to keep getting more famous or more followers. And all of this just leads to so much suffering. So this is a way to call on the higher self for inspiration, to receive inspiration, and then be able to weigh it. Is this inspiration coming from the superconscious, or is it coming from the subconscious realm? And in my experience, a lot of times something that I was very excited about at the beginning, something that I felt was very much, I was receiving this inspiration and I was very excited about beginning it. And then sometime into it, I lost the impulse for it weakened. And it no longer felt like it aligned. It no longer felt like it was the right thing for me to be doing. And always, though, I make sure to finish what I started, because there's a lot of magnetism in it. As long as it's not hurting anyone else, to finish what we started, because there's magnetism to finish what we started. But what we can do is to, as Swami Kriyananda says, when an inspiration comes, receive it with calm love and see whether, untouched by the emotion, its impulse grows stronger or weaker. Love is the water that nourishes true inspiration. So this is the secret here. So imagine that you've had a feeling that you experienced in life that you want to share through your work. You prompt the universe for that melody, for that image, for that writing to start flowing through you. And then all of a sudden, however long it takes, or whatever certain circumstances arise, you all of a sudden, you got that inspiration, right? And that starts to come through, and you go to work immediately. And a lot of times the work that we do, it can be a big project or something like that. So when an inspiration comes, Swami Kriyananda is saying here, an inspiration comes, the idea is to get calm, to get very calm, to not let the agitation, the emotions, the excitement come in, because those are going to disturb the frequency of the superconscious. It's very, very particular about us having a calm nervous system and to have a feeling of love within our hearts. Swami Kriyananda said that love is bliss in motion. So feeling bliss within us, calm joy, and to see whether that impulse for that inspiration becomes stronger or weaker. So if we want to constantly be putting good things into this world, when that inspiration comes, water it with calm love. And we can do that in meditation, and we can feel whether that impulse grows stronger or weaker for it. And if we're very calm and we are feeling that joy in our heart, and the impulse for that inspiration becomes amplified, then we know that we are working from the superconscious, and we can get to work bringing great things into this world. But I've noticed sometimes I'll be very excited about an inspiration that comes in. I'll go into a meditation and water it with that calm love. And then when I'm done with that meditation, all of a sudden I have no interest in that idea anymore. It's just like, it feels the same as if I went down the path of realizing that project or that idea or that artwork, and then I get into it and I'm like, I don't feel this anymore. You can feel that before you even get started, and you can save yourself a lot of time. This is something that I'm very happy to be sharing with you guys. And if you're hearing this now and it's like starting to make sense, it's something that you can continually keep working with. And I'm going to keep talking about this. Is kind of going to be the crux of these weekly broadcasts that I'm talking about here. It's us learning to notice the feelings, the synchronicities, the hunches, the feelings of deja vu, the feelings that we can notice within our bodies to guide us, to lead us, and then to weigh those. And also it can come to you in dreams. We can have dreams that come to us that can give us inspirations. All of these things are flowing, and we can start to record those into our book of clues, our book of inspirations, and then we can see whether or not the impulse to really move forward with that is right. Because we have so many patterns, like habitual patterns that come up in our lives. I know for me, I have patterns that I will feel that are like great inspiration, but they are just negative patterns that are leading me down the same path that will get me nowhere in the end. So this is a way, Rizwan Virk in his book Treasure Hunt, he calls them anti-clues. We have these anti-clues that arise, and they feel so right in the moment, but they are actually the dragon. They are actually resistance trying to trick us into an old negative habitual pattern that we get stuck in. And so this will help us to avoid that, to see those for what they are, and to say, I see you, dragon, I see you, negative pattern, you can't fool me. And we can learn to feel the difference. This is a affirmation that we can do together. And this is, I'll put this in the notes that you can use. This is one that you can use this week. Is, I hold my thoughts up to the calmness within. In calmness, I receive inspiration from my higher self. I hold my thoughts up to the calmness within. In calmness, I receive inspiration from my higher self. And this is where you can hold up those ideas up to the calmness within and feel whether the impulse grows stronger or weaker. You can say that to your higher self. I'll also, tomorrow night, I'm going to be leading our in-person guided group meditation that I host every Wednesday. And I've been getting some requests to start doing live streams of those as well. So I'm going to step up and start live streaming those. It's a lot of work to do these, to make sure I'm like on time, got the camera set up, and we're doing that. This is a 1.5 hour full like workshop meditation that is full jam packed with Yogananda's teachings and techniques that I've learned from my teachers at Ananda Village. This is an Ananda group meditation, and I'm going to be live streaming that tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and then those will be available for you guys afterwards. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about here, we'll be putting into practice in that meditation, and we'll be revisiting a lot of these ideas tomorrow. And then you'll be able to use, we chant, we sing together, we stretch, and we have a satsang, and we meditate, we use visualizations, we fill ourselves with joy, we send that healing energy, that light that we bring into ourselves, that joy as love to our loved ones, to our friends, to psychically bless them, to heal them from physical, mental, spiritual distress. And then we also send that light out into the building, into the neighborhood, into the city, state, country, world, and beyond, to fill this world with light. So I encourage you all to join me tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern here on YouTube. Once again, you'll see that in the live feed there on my playlist on YouTube, to join us tomorrow for that. And we'll be putting some of these things into practice where we can invite inspiration, can hold up that inspiration to the calmness within, and start practicing this together. Because we can talk about it all we want, but until we actually start to practice it and use it, then it really doesn't have the power. And that's really why I want to just keep talking about this over and over, so that it begins to become real for us in our lives. This is another quote from Swami. He said, if you compromise your deepest principles, you will find your talent diminishing until you discover that you yourself, left to your own devices, were never anything but a mediocre artist. Wow. And this is what happens when we get stuck into doing things that we don't truly believe in. And this is, I think, a real wake up for a lot of us to, I know I had that became something that I realized, that there was so many things that I was saying and doing and expressing that I didn't believe in. And I was kind of just using comedy as an, saying things that I didn't believe in, saying things that were mean spirited. And I used to have a sense of humor like that. And I realized one day that was really, really diminishing who I was and diminishing my feelings of joy. And I decided that I was going to do my best to stop that. And so I love this. Never allow yourself to express anything that you don't really feel in your deepest self to be true. This is what we want to do with our artwork. We want to express what we feel in our deepest self to be true. So I'm going to leave you all with that one this evening, and I'll be back again next Tuesday, and we'll be meditating tomorrow on Wednesday. If you guys can join, that would be excellent. I never say these things as well, but like and subscribe here on YouTube and share this with a friend. I know, like, I've been doing this for a while. I don't do all of the things that you need to do to really gain a big following, but help me out if you can. Spread this energy, spread this with others. You know, you can make this a time where you are gathering with other friends, and maybe you're joining this with others, and you can make a group experience with it where this helps to really uh, help you to have an environment where you guys are really helping each other to grow, and we can all be in this together. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you again next time. Joy to you, friends. Blessings.